Call the Rules Committee to order. Clerk, please take a silent roll. Are there any motions from the special calendar to House calendar? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we had this. That's just, no, those are just on the calendar. Okay. Any motions from special calendar to House calendar?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I move committee substitute for Senate Bill 261 on third reading be moved to the House calendar.
Gentleman 58th moves the committee substitute for SB 261, third reading on special calendar, be moved to House calendar. Is there discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Declare the motion adopted. Gentleman from the 58th.
Mr. Speaker, I move com sub for House Bill 4019 be moved to the House calendar.
Gentleman from the 58th moves the com sub for House Bill 4019, budget bill, be moved from third reading special to House. Is there discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Declare the motion adopted. Gentleman from the 58th.
Mr. Speaker, on first reading, last page, I move com sub for Senate Bill 491 be moved to the House calendar.
Gentleman from the 58th moves that com sub for Senate Bill 491 be moved from special to House. Is there discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Declare the motion adopted. Any further motions from special to House? Any motions from House to special? Gentleman from the 58th.
Mr. Speaker, I move com sub for Senate Bill 273 on second reading be placed on the special calendar.
Is it number 273?
273.
Okay. Heard the gentleman's motion. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Declare the motion adopted. Gentleman from the 58th.
Mr. Speaker, I move Senate Bill 385 on second reading be moved to the special calendar.
Gentleman from the 58th moves SB 385 be moved from House calendar to special calendar. Is there discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Declare the motion adopted. Are there any further motions from House to special? Any further business to come before the committee? Gentleman from the 58th.
Mr. Speaker, I move we adjourn.
Gentleman from the 58th moves we adjourn. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Meeting is adjourned.
The Senate will please come to order. The Senate will please come to order. All those not having privileges of the floor will please vacate the chamber. Would those on the floor and our guest in the gallery please rise as we are led in prayer this morning by Pastor Mike Harper of the North Hills Baptist Church in Charleston, West Virginia, and then please remain standing as we are led in the pledge this morning by the Senator from Monongalia. Pastor Harper.
Bow in prayer. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another day you have blessed us with. And Father, what a great privilege it is to stand here today in your presence, giving thanks and praise for all you've done for this great state. Father, we thank you for this great land, the United States of America, and we thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans, a freedom that comes with a heavy price. And Father, I pray for our troops and their families, both here and on foreign land. Protect our first responders as they serve and protect others. Bless our president, our senators, our representatives in Washington, D.C. And Father, we earnestly pray for our governor, Governor Justice. Bless him with good health and protection. And Father, I also lift up in prayer our state senators, those who are present here today. Father, we pray for these men and women who have dedicated their lives to serve the great people of West Virginia, oftentimes with little or no appreciation. And Lord, I'm sure it's not an easy job. So please give them your wisdom and discernment today as they decide on matters that affect the lives of all citizens, both young and old. There is no doubt they desire to do what is right. Therefore, strengthen them today, guide them, and especially bless them. May our citizens be united with one common bond. We are all West Virginians. We are family. May you continue to bless this great state that we call home. In Jesus' precious name, and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Harper. The Senator from Monongalia County.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the guests in our gallery, please join the Senate as we salute our great country. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The reading of the journal.
West Virginia Legislature, Senate Journal, March 6, 2018. The Senate met at 11:35.
The senior senator from the 8th requests unanimous consent that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as having been read. Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered. Introduction of guest. On behalf of the Senate, it is my pleasure to welcome our honorary pages for the day. Please stand and be recognized as your name is called. As guest of the senator from Morgan, we have Brian Harton. As guest of the senator from Mercer, Keandre Harrison, Ashlyn Guerin, and Kaylee Rose. As guest of the senator from Berkeley, the senior senator from the 16th, we have Lily Reisenweber and Zion Johnson. As guest of the senator from Braxton, Tyler Garrett. As guest of the senator from Boone, Jasmine Gibson and Casey Belcher. And as guest of the senator from Putnam, Samantha Womack and Levi Menke, and as guest of the senator from Marion, Zoe Yanero. Some are in the rear of our chamber, some are here, all are standing. Let's have the Senate give them a warm welcome. Thank you. You may be seated. Further introductions, the senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my pleasure on behalf of the West Virginia Academy of Family Physicians to introduce our doc for the day. In the rear of the chamber, we have Dr. Michael Bledsoe of Charleston, West Virginia. If he would stand and the Senate make him welcome.
Further introductions, the senator from Logan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of my senior senator from Boone County, we have two guests in the gallery. One of them is J.C. Baxter and Cheyenne Armstrong. They're both students from Chapmanville Regional High School and have worked to make sure that 100% of the senior class has been registered to vote. If everyone can please give them a warm Senate welcome.
The senator from Mercer County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm quite honored today to have three pages. I think they all came from McDowell County. I don't know how many of you know where that is, but I do. and they brought parents with them. I'd like to introduce their parents if they would stand up and be recognized. We have Natasha Stewart, Brandy Sue Richardson, and Christopher Richardson, and Tanya Rose. If they would stand in the Senate, please make them welcome.
The junior senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the North Gallery, I have a couple of special guests today. My brother, Eric Drennan, and a good friend of mine, Jason Settle. If they would stand in the Senate, make them welcome.
Further introduction, the senator from Braxton County.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's your pleasure, as well as my junior senator from Harrison, to introduce the parents of our page, Tyler Garrett. His mom and dad's in the South Gallery. Jeremy and April Garrett, if they would stand in the Senate, give them a warm welcome.
Further, the senator from Boone County.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the senator from Logan, we're very pleased to have the chaperones of our pages from Van High School. In the gallery to my left, we have my cousin Jerry Brown and the mother Crystal Belcher. If they would stand, the Senate make them welcome.
Further introductions, the senator from Marion County.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the senior senator from Monongalia, we have the appearance of our page Zoe today, James and Diane Yanero. And if they would stand and the Senate would make them welcome.
The senior senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the junior senator from the 16th and I are very pleased to have with us the chaperones of our pages here today. Zion Johnson, we have Danelle Grant and Danita Scott. And for Lily Reisenweber, we have John Reisenweber. Please stand and receive a warm Senate welcome.
Further introductions, the junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. In our South Gallery, we have the director of the RN Board of Nursing and some of the members of that board. If you wouldn't mind standing, let the Senate give you a warm welcome. Sue.
Further introductions, the senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request unanimous consent that the provisions of Senate Rule 54 be suspended in order to grant the granddaughter of the senior senator from the 8th privileges of the floor.
Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Senior senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues, for the privilege of allowing my granddaughter. I can't tell you how happy this makes me today. I've missed her. She's in college. You know, Becca is the youngest of my 5 above-average grandchildren. She is an incredible young woman, a student at Belmont University, already a sophomore there, not having been there a full year yet. I would like for the Senate to make my soulmate, Rebecca Gonch, welcome, and her mother, who you see from time to time, who's sitting in the gallery to my right, Jonna. Please make them both welcome.
Further introduction, senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request unanimous consent to proceed to the 6th order of business.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Introduction of bills.
There are none.
Resolutions.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 53 by Senators Stallings, Beach, Plymel, and Boso, naming the U.S. Army Sergeant Harold Scott White Memorial Bridge.
Under the rules of the Senate, the resolution will lie over one day.
Senate Resolution 65 by Senators Drennan, Plymel, Stallings, and Boso, memorializing the life of Leon McCoy.
The junior senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration Committee reference dispensed with, and the resolution be placed upon its adoption.
The junior senator from the 4th requests unanimous consent that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration, the committee reference be dispensed with, and that the resolution be placed upon its adoption. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 65, memorializing the life of Leon McCoy, teacher, coach, and dedicated public servant.
The question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? The junior senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm humbled today to rise in support of this resolution memorializing Coach Leon McCoy, West Virginia's pioneer in weight training, a teacher, a coach, dedicated public servant. I first met Coach McCoy when I was 10 years old. Coach and his family were my neighbors. And when I entered the 8th grade, Coach instructed me that I would begin coming to the high school to lift weights. That began 4 years of him shuttling me to and from football practice in his Chevette. You know, sometimes there were 2 of us in the front and 3 of us in the back seat and 3 of us in the hatchback with our feet hanging out. To this day, I'm amazed and thankful at the time he put in not only to my life, but into the lives of his students and players. I'm sure that his wife, Betty, will attest to the amount of time he dedicated every day. Coach was born in Jeffrey in Boone County, West Virginia, and attended Charleston High School. He went to the University of Tennessee on a football scholarship and finished up at Morris Harvey, an All-American. He was a 3-time All-American Intercollegiate Athletic Conference first-team selection, graduating in 1952. He was also a United States heavyweight boxing champion of the South in 1950. He signed with the Detroit Lions of the National Football League in 1952. And he also dabbled in acting. He played Little Abner in an Al Cap film that was seen worldwide in 1951. Coach began his teaching and coaching career as an assistant at Charleston Catholic High School in 1953, and then took his first turn at Winfield High School in 1955 through 59, finishing up runner-up for the state title in 1958 and 1959. Coach McCoy returned to his alma mater, Charleston High, in 1960, but quickly left in 1962 and went to Cocoa High School in Florida, where he coached and taught for 7 years. In 1969, Coach came home to Winfield High School to teach and coach and mentor many athletes, students, co-workers, where he led from the front with his well-known weightlifting program. As I said before, he was a pioneer in weight training, and he advised many high school and intercollegiate athletic programs, including, he made those weights too, including WVU. Coach McCoy had an outstanding career coaching at Winfield High School, finishing with a career record of 213, 68, and 1 in 26 years at Winfield. He had 5 10-0 seasons and 2 undefeated seasons in 1985 and 1987, winning the Class AA state championship with records of 13-0. He was inducted into the West Virginia Coaches Hall of Fame and the University of Charleston Hall of Fame. If you knew him, you could not speak about Coach McCoy without acknowledging that he was a man of faith, devout Christian, head deacon at Winfield Baptist Church. He eagerly shared and demonstrated his faith at every opportunity. When I was in school, he led the morning announcements with a prayer, and it became a tradition that Coach would offer the prayer at Winfield's graduation. And he did so for years, until the school decided that his prayer, ironically we do that here every day, his prayer violated the separation of church and state, and he was told that he could speak, but he couldn't pray. His acclaimed speech began like this: "If I could pray, I would ask the Lord to bless each and every senior." Yeah. I will close with these strategies a friend of mine sent to me, and I certainly remember them from when I was a player and student there. Not a very good one that way, by the way, but I did. On how you win in life and how you win on the field is the same. First, it's with preparation, knowing your opponent, knowing what your opponent is going to do, and practicing to make sure that you're as sharp and as good as you can be. Never be satisfied. You can always be better, even thinking when you did well, realizing that there's things that you could have done better. Hard work. There are no shortcuts. Excellence is not easy, or is it free? You have to pay the price. And make the best of what you have. You don't need to be flashy. You don't need to have the best of everything. Use what God gives you. And teamwork. Knowing the importance of knowing your role and doing what's best of your ability to help the team. You know, Coach McCoy passed away in May of last year, leaving a lasting legacy, none greater than his family that is here with us today. I urge adoption, Mr. President.
Further discussion. The senior senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I didn't know we were doing this resolution today till I got here. Sometimes I do my best when I do it impromptu. I met Leon McCoy 40-some years ago. He was a wonderful athlete. He was a wonderful coach, unparalleled in many of those areas. He had a handshake that would just shake you to the bone. I mean, he had a hand, when you reached and grabbed his hand, you knew you were shaking the hand of somebody who knew how to shake hands. A hug like a bear hug. But more than any of that, he was a wonderful man, a wonderful man. He was my spiritual brother. He and I had many mutual friends. He didn't mention it, but Leon started the FCA chapter at Winfield High School. And hundreds, literally hundreds would be in those meetings. And literally thousands have been touched by the hand and the heart of Leon McCoy. Truett Cathy, who's the founder of Chick-fil-A, said, "It's easier to build boys and girls than it is to mend men and women." Leon understood that decades ago, and he built many wonderful boys and girls who became terrific men and women. It's my pleasure and my honor to urge passage of this resolution.
Further discussion. Further discussion. If not, question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the resolution adopted. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request unanimous consent that remarks by the junior senator from the 4th and the senior senator from the 8th be printed in the appendix to the journal.
Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in brief recess to present the resolution.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate stand in recess to present this resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the Senate in recess to present this resolution. Senate will please come to order. The Senate will please come to order. Further resolutions?
No, sir.
Motions? Petitions? Oh.
There.
Petitions?
There are none.
Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent to return to the third order of business.
Senator from Ohio County requests unanimous. Senator from Ohio County requests unanimous consent to return to the second order of business. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The senator, are there introductions? Senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the President's Gallery are parents of one of our pages today. So on behalf of my senior senator from the 15th, the parents of Bryn Hartung, who is our page today, are Barry and Dawn Hartung from Mineral County. And I'd ask them to stand and that the Senate make them welcome.
Further introductions? Further introductions. Communications from the House.
The Clerk of the House announced that the House rejected an engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 7 relating to claims under Wage Payment and Collection Act.
Message be received.
The Clerk of the House announced that the House refused to recede from its amendments and appointed conferees Delegates Sabonia, Holland, and Byrd as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 47, permitting pharmacists to inform customers of lower-cost alternative drugs. The Senate previously appointed Senators.
We need to appoint. Yeah. Senator from Ohio County. Message be received. Senator from Ohio County.
What are we doing here? What's that? Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to a conference committee and the chair be authorized to appoint conferees.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate agree to a conference committee and that the chair be authorized to appoint the conferees. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. On behalf of the Senate, the chair appoints the junior senator from the 17th, the senator from Wyoming County, and the senator from Boone County. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
The House amended the bill and title as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 102, creating West Virginia Uniform Fiduciary Access to Digital Assets Act.
Message be received. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate concur with the House amendment to the committee substitute for Senate Bill 102.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 102. Is there discussion? The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendment simply reconciles a code conflict with House Bill 4320, which adopts uniform language regarding powers of attorney. I urge we concur.
Further discussion? Not. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
The House amended the bill and title as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 133, exempting renewal of certain contracts entered into during declared state of emergency.
Message be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 133.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 133. Is there discussion? Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amended the bill by adding language to clarify that contracts for permanent repairs after a declared state of emergency had ended were not exempt from purchasing, and made other technical changes. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is adoption of the motion as offered by the Senator from Ohio. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, there being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
The House amended the bill and title as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 272, relating generally to drug control.
Message be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 272.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 272. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House delegates eliminated unnecessary subsection designations and eliminated an effective date of July 1, 2018 to establish the pilot projects, giving them more time to adequately plan and implement the project. They also amended the title to conform with that change. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? Further discussion? If not, all those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there further discussion? If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent not voting, more than the majority of those electing having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
The House amended.
Senator from Braxton County seeks recognition.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to return to the second order of business.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Senator may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, we all have one thing in common down here, and it's what kind of keeps us together, and it's our families. We're down here trying to make a better place for West Virginians and our families. And this morning, I'm extremely privileged to introduce some of my family. My wife, Tammy, 36 years. We've been married. My youngest daughter, Jessie, and my grandbaby, Rhett. My oldest daughter, Kayla, and their friend, Bree. Folks, this is what we're here for. This is what makes our state great. It's our families, and we all love them. And if the Senate would, please give them a warm Senate welcome.
Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our question unanimous consent that the provisions of Senate Rule 54 be suspended in order to grant the family of the senator from Braxton privileges of the floor for the day.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Further introductions? Further communications from the House?
The House amended the bill and title as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 319, allowing individuals who completed homeschooling be eligible for promised scholarship without equivalent diploma.
Message be received. The senator from Ohio County.
Did we miss 298? I know. Did we miss 298? Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 319.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 319. Is there discussion? Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendment reinstates the promised eligibility requirement for a 3.0 GPA, since removing it would result in either an up to $5 million cost or having to increase the required score on the ACT and SAT. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator from Ohio yield?
Senator will not. Senator does yield.
Senator, as you may recall, I offered the amendment to remove the 3.0 requirement in finance, and we adopted that because I was concerned that we would make it equal for homeschool students and public and private school students. As I understand now, and I understand the issue with taking the GED test for homeschool students, and I support changing that, but I do want to make sure that it's an equal system for all students. As I understand it now, the HEPC has said that if we do get rid of the GED requirement, that they will require the same kind of 3.0 requirement for homeschool students as they do for public and private school students. So my concern originally about making this not a level playing field has been alleviated. Is that your understanding as well?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Not all those in favor of the senators from Ohio's motion to concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 319 will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? So the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, there being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be made effective July 1, 2018, and request unanimous consent the roll call used on passage of the bill be used to make it so effective.
Senator from Ohio County moves the bill be made effective July 1, 2018, and requests unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage be used to make it so effective. Is there objection? Chair hears none. On this question, there being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than 2/3 of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill effective July 1, 2018. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
The House amended the title only as it relates to engrossed Senate Bill 365 relating to Young Entrepreneur Reinvestment Act.
Message be received. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate concur with the House amendment to Senate Bill 365.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in House amendments to Senate Bill 365. Is there discussion? The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House simply amended the title of the bill only. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? Not. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Declare the motion adopted. The question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
The House amended and passed engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 404 relating to sex offender registry information.
Message be received. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 404.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 404. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendment is simply cleanup language removing a reference which was unnecessary in the bill. The substantive provisions of the Senate bill remain intact. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? Not. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those present and voting, having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action and send it to the House.
The House amended the bill and title as it relates to engrossed Senate Bill 427, modifying form of notice for certain tax delinquencies.
Message be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur in the House amendment to Senate Bill 427.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 427. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendment to Senate Bill 427 amends one section to better articulate the purpose. The amendment is purely stylistic. Therefore, I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. If not, all those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the amendment or motion adopted. Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, be 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action and send it to the House.
The House amended and passed engrossed Senate Bill 441 relating to health care provider taxes.
Message be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 441.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 441. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The tax in this bill was set to expire in 2021. The House delegates rewrote the section on how any remaining funds at that time will be managed. The changes were agreed to by all stakeholders. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? If not, all those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. The question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be made effective July 1, 2018. Requesting unanimous consent, the roll call used on passage be used to make it so effective.
Senator from Ohio County moves the bill be made effective from passage and requests unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage be used to make it so effective. The Senator from Ohio County moves the bill be made effective July 1, 2018 and requests unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage be used to make it so effective. Is there objection? Chair hears none. On this question there being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than 2/3 of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill effective July 1, 2018. Clerk will communicate the action and send it to the House.
The House amended the bill and title as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 456, Physical Therapy Licensure Compact Act.
Message be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 456.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 456. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendment to Senate Bill 456 amends one section to clarify the appropriate entity charged with enforcing the statute should be the Physical Therapy Board, not the governor. The amendment improves the bill. Therefore, I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? If not, all those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, there being 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the action and send it to the House.
The House amended the bill and title as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 499, requiring 1 year of certain approved postgraduate clinical training for persons with foreign medical degrees.
Message be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 499.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 499. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House of Delegates changed the rulemaking section to make the rules permissive rather than required by changing shall to may. This gives the agency more discretion in the rulemaking process. The House also amended the title to the bill. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? Not, all those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, being 31 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those present and voting, more than a majority of those elected, having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action and send it to the House.
The House amended the title only as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 510, designating hospitals for stroke treatment.
Message be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 510.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 510. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a title amendment only. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? Not, all those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. The question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, there being 31 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
The House amended the bill and title as it relates to engrossed Senate Bill 545, relating to driving privileges and requirements for persons under 18.
Message be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 545.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 545. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendment maintains the bill's purpose while removing unnecessary language regarding use of a radio. 17B11 already defines wireless communication device as a handheld device used to access a wireless telephone service or text messaging device. I urge that we concur.
Further discussion? The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator from Ohio, yield.
Senator yield. Senator does yield.
So is it your understanding with the version of the bill that we're going to consider here that someone under 18 could still use their phone to play music in the car? I heard you say it was unnecessary language. Because I know that was something the Senator from Morgan discussed on the floor. The Senate's position was they would be able to use their phone still to play music and things like that, just not to communicate with anyone else other than 911.
Yeah, I'm looking at the definition of a wireless communication device. It doesn't say anything about the radio, about a radio. The definition here is a wireless communication device means a handheld device used to access a wireless telephone service or text messaging device. So it doesn't say anything specifically about the radio.
But as I read the language here, it says you're prohibited from using a wireless communication device while operating a motor vehicle unless the use of the wireless communication device is for contacting 911 system. So my interpretation of that would be that it would be contrary to the Senate's position that they would be able to use them to listen to music if we take the House version.
Yeah, that's. I think that we would agree it's not clear. Your question is not clear, but we've also been told that there's $2.3 million in federal funding attached to the bill, and DMV has informed us that that concurring in the House's amendment is needed to qualify for that funding. I know that doesn't answer your question. It's just another piece of information that I've been provided here. So I do think it's unclear, your question.
Is it what you're telling me that the specific portion about not allowing kids to use their phones to listen to music is what is needed to obtain the federal money?
Senator, to your question, I don't think, if I understood your question correctly, I don't think the language that is required it has to do with the radio, the radio language, I guess I'll say, for lack of a better term. But again, just that they stated that this was a language that was necessary, that concurrence with the House amendments was necessary in order to be able to receive the federal funding.
Mr. President, can the Senator from Morgan yield for a second?
Senator from Morgan yield? Senator does yield.
Senator, was it your understanding when we passed this bill originally that the language we had was sufficient to obtain the federal money, or was that not clear?
No, it was still unclear when it left the Judiciary Committee, and I think unclear when it left the Senate. We were hoping that it was going to work out, that it would qualify. This is something that the state government's been working on, and with communications and exchange, I guess, with the federal government. What we were told is that no state had qualified for it yet, and that West Virginia was in the posture of being maybe the closest to be able to do that for the coming fiscal year. So that was the money part of it. In the Judiciary Committee, when we debated the bill, as I recall, there were concerns expressed by committee members that these, handheld devices, which would be prohibited, under the House language, as I understand it, are used by people, including those level 3 graduated driver's license young people, for people store a playlist of music that they like to listen to. So the radio part may be okay, but if you're, the question was, and I think that's where the senator from Kanawha was going with the question, is if we pass it with this language in it, does it mean that it's unlawful for a person in that age group to use Bluetooth and play music over his automobile speaker system from the device? The other issue that was raised in the committee that seems like it might be prohibited by the language is people have, I've never been able to really figure out how to work mine, but people have the GPS systems on here that gives them, the systems give them directions to go places. And, I think more and more of these things are that GPS mappings and technology is being loaded onto those cell phones, so you could read the language to say that you couldn't even use it for that. So,
I mean, do you
if
read
that's
it?
clear, it'd be, I'd be surprised because I don't know the answer.
Okay, so you're not saying you necessarily read it that way, where they would be prohibited from using it for music and for GPS. You think it's unclear? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that was the point of the language that, as I recall, that that the committee amended into the bill, which made the prohibition more narrow than that. And the prohibition, I think, as it left the committee and then left the Senate, it was a prohibition on using such a device for the purpose of communicating with another, as opposed to for one of those other things, running music from a playlist over the speakers or using it for GPS. So, but I will confess that as the bill left the committee and then the Senate, we did not have a firm answer as to whether or not the addition of that language, I think maybe it was the senator from Upshur that offered the amendment for part of that. We did not have a firm answer as to whether or not it was going to render our application for these federal funds, unsuccessful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Senator from Ohio County.
Well, we're going to do conference and try to sort it out. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent to withdraw my amendment, or my motion.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate refuse to concur and that the chair be authorized, or that a conference committee, and request that the House recede from their position.
Yeah. Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate refuse to concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 545 and that the chair be authorized to. So the motion before us is that the Senate refuse to concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 545. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Declare the motion adopted. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
The House has appointed conferees, Delegates Foster, Sabonia, and Canestraro, as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 2607, extending the maximum period of confinement a judge may impose for certain first-time probationary violations. The Senate previously appointed Senators Trump, Weld, and Wolfle.
Message be received.
The House appointed conferees, Delegates Hamrick, Seipolt, and Lynch, as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 2995, permitting certain animal euthanasia technicians who have been certified by other states be certified animal euthanasia technicians in West Virginia. The Senate previously appointed Senators Smith, Maynard, and Baldwin.
Message be received.
The House rejected the Senate amendments and asks the Senate to recede therefrom as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4024 relating generally to direct cremation or direct burial expenses for indigent persons.
Message be received. Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate recede from its amendments to the committee substitute for House Bill 4024.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate recede from the House amendments to Senate Bill or House Bill 4024. Is there discussion? The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for House Bill 4024 relates to the direct burial or cremation of indigent persons. The amendment changed those eligible to receive payment for indigent burials or cremations from funeral establishments to funeral directors, as was the wording in the original bill.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the Senate recede from the Senate amendments to House Bill 4024. All those in favor will say aye. Those, the Senator from Preston County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the Senator yield for a moment? I'd like to ask a question about that.
Does Senator yield? Senator does yield.
This is on the 4024, and it had to do with the. That's not the bill I thought we had.
Nope. That's not right.
I'm sorry, I forget what the bill number was, but it had to do with the funeral directors versus funeral establishments. And I remember we specifically made that amendment in committee, and you're asking that we recede from our position. Well, and my question is that going to cause a problem with reimbursement for in-state institutions versus the ones which are coming from out of state? I thought that was the purpose for the amendment. I believe that was an amendment that was in Finance Committee.
He started talking. Yeah, I'm told by counsel that the issue was, the concern in the House was that there are certain border counties that may not have a funeral establishment physically in West Virginia, but there are out-of-state funeral directors who are licensed in the state of West Virginia. And so that was their concern, that the language would prohibit those who are out-of-state to perform the services here, or for people here.
That's exactly what the problem was. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
That was exactly what the issue
Not. Question before the Senate is, shall the Senate recede from the Senate amendments to House Bill 4024? All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. The question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action. Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be made effective July 1, 2018. Requesting unanimous consent the roll call used on passage of the bill be used to make it so effective.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the bill be made effective July 1, 2018, and requests unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage of the bill be used to make it so effective. Is there objection? Chair hears none. On this question there being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than 2/3 of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill effective July 1, 2018. Clerk will communicate the action and send it to the House.
The House-appointed conferees, Delegates Fast, Overington, and Lovejoy, as it relates to engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4186, relating generally to guaranteed asset protection waivers. The Senate previously appointed Senators Rucker, Azinger, and Beach.
Message be received. Further communications from the House?
No, sir.
Communications from the Executive?
I have a letter dated March 6, 2018, addressed to the Honorable Mitch Carmichael, President of the Senate, and the Honorable Tim Armstead, Speaker of the House of Delegates. Dear President Carmichael and Speaker Armstead, after submission of my recommended fiscal year 2019 executive budget on January 10, 2018, there have been a few areas that require adjustments. These adjustments are contained in the letter. Thank you for your prompt attention of this matter. Your cooperation is always appreciated. Should you have any questions or require additional information, please call me at any time. Sincerely, Jim Justice, Governor.
Message be received and referred to the Committee on Finance. Further communications from the Executive?
No, sir.
Reports from standing committees.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration committee substitute for Senate Bill 152, the budget bill, and has amended same, now on second reading, having been read a first time and re-referred to the Committee on Finance on March 5th, 2018, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration and read a second time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill a second time.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 152, the budget bill, second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
Yes, sir. The Committee on Finance moved to amend the bill by striking out everything after the enacting clause.
The senior senator from the 15th.
Apologize, Mr. President.
Senior senator from the 15th requests unanimous consent to explain the amendment in lieu of having it read. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The senator may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. The strike and insert amendment for the committee substitute for Senate Bill 152, the budget bill. No, wait a minute. Yeah, we're on the right one. The budget bill reflects the changes necessary to incorporate the provisions of House Bill 4145, increasing the annual salaries of members of the West Virginia State Police, public school teachers, and school service personnel, as well as incorporating the same 5% pay increase to public employees. Yeah. Mr. President, I'm going to continue on just a little bit more. I have every intention to explaining the bill in its entirety tomorrow on that. If anybody has questions, about it, of the bill that they think they're going to do on the floor, if you'd submit them to me in advance, that for accuracy, I would encourage you to do that if it was possible. So other than that, that's what we got here.
Further discussion? Further discussion? Not the question before the Senate is adoption of the Finance Committee amendment. It's offered by the senior senator from the 15th. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the amendment adopted. Are there further amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced. Bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration Senate Bill 635, originating in committee, relating to a 2019 across-the-board salary adjustment for employees of the Department of Health and Human Resources, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received. Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration and read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the bill a first time.
Senate Bill 635, relating to a 2019 across-the-board salary adjustment for employees of the Department of Health and Human Resources. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration engrossed House Bill 2869, providing for paid leave for certain state officers and employees during a declared state of emergency, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, C. Edward Gaunch, Chair.
Report will be received. Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration and read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill a first time.
Engrossed House Bill 2869, providing for paid leave for certain state officers and employees during a declared state of emergency. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 2799, prohibiting the superintendent of schools from requiring a physical examination to be included to the application for a minor's work permit, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Robert Carnes, Chair, Vice Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration and read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill a first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 2799, prohibiting the superintendent of schools from requiring a physical examination to be included to the application for a minor's work permit. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 3089, relating to the adoption of instructional resources for use in the public schools, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, Robert Carnes, Vice Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration and read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 3089, relating to the adoption of instructional resources for the use in the public schools. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4006, revising the processes through which professional development is delivered for those who provide for public education, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Robert Carnes, Vice Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration and read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the bill a first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4006, revising the processes through which professional development is delivered for those who provide public education. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4251, permitting employees of baccalaureate institutions and universities outside of this state to be appointed to the Board of Governors, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Robert Carnes, Vice Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4251, permitting employees of baccalaureate institutions and universities outside of this state to be appointed to the Board of Governors. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4350, eliminating the regulation of upholstery, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, C. Edward Gaunch, Chair.
Report will be received. Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a first time.
Is there objection? Not. Clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4350, eliminating the regulation of upholstery. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration engrossed House Bill 4389, expiring funds to the Enterprise Resource Planning System Fund, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill first.
Engrossed House Bill 4389, expiring funds to the Enterprise Resource Planning System Fund. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4394 relating to forest fires, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Charles S. Trump IV, Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4394 relating to forest fires. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4407 relating to eligibility for alternative program teacher certificate, and reports the same back without recommendation as to passage, but with the further recommendation that it be re-referred to the Committee on Education. Respectfully submitted, Robert Carnes, Vice Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Upshur County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the bill be taken up for immediate consideration and read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4407 relating to eligibility for alternative program teacher certificate. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced. The Senator from Upshur County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that House Bill 4407 be re-referred to the Committee on Education.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered.
Your Committee on Education has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4428, allowing training hours earned through public school education or apprenticeship to count towards an applicant's occupational certification, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Robert Carnes, Vice Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4428, allowing training hours earned through public school education or apprenticeship to count towards an applicant's occupational certification. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4447, providing for a uniform and efficient system of broadband conduit installation, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, C. Edward Gaunch, Chair.
Report will be received. The Senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent, the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4447, providing for a uniform and efficient system of broadband conduit installation. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Government Organization has had under consideration engrossed House Bill 4465, authorizing the Acupuncture Board to issue certificates to perform auricular acudetox therapy, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, C. Edward Gaunch, Chair.
Report will be received. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent, the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. Clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed House Bill 4465, authorizing the Acupuncture Board to issue certificates to perform auricular acudetox therapy. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration engrossed House Bill 4628, relating to authorizing the redirection of amounts collected from certain surcharges and assessments on workers' compensation insurance policies for periods prior to January 1, 2019, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, Craig Blair, Chair.
Report will be received. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent, the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a first time.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the bill first time.
Engrossed House Bill 4628, relating to authorizing the redirection of amounts collected from certain surcharges and assessments on workers' compensation insurance policies for periods prior to January 1, 2019. First reading of the bill.
Bill be advanced.
Your Committee on Energy, Industry, and Mining has had under consideration House Concurrent Resolution 8, funding for feasibility study of coal-to-chemicals project, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it be adopted. Respectfully submitted, Randy E. Smith, Chair.
Report will be received. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting unanimous consent, the bill be taken up for immediate consideration. Resolution be taken up for immediate consideration and placed upon its adoption.
Senator from Ohio County moves that the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration and placed upon its adoption. Is there objection? Chair hears none. On this question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have, the ayes do have it. Declare the resolution adopted. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House. Further reports from standing committees?
No, sir.
Reports from select committees?
There are none.
Introduction of bills?
There are none.
Resolutions?
There are none.
Motions? Petitions?
There are none.
Unfinished business?
Committee substitute for Senate Concurrent Resolution 29, naming the U.S. Army Sergeant Benny Fleming Memorial Bridge.
Senator from Nicholas County? Question for the Senate is adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? The senator from Nicholas County.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to stand for this particular resolution. Mr. Fleming, in memorializing on this bridge, has dedicated his service to the United States, and therefore it's honoring and fitting that we grant him this recognition. I urge passage of the resolution.
Is there further discussion? Not. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the resolution adopted. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 52, naming the Deputy Sheriff John Janey Memorial Bridge.
Resolution will be referred to Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure.
House Concurrent Resolution 5, naming the U.S. Army Private First Class Jesse Franklin Crow Memorial Bridge.
Question for the Senate is adoption of resolution. Are there amendments?
Yes, sir. The Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure moved to amend the resolution on page 1.
Question before the Senate is adoption of the amendment to the resolution. Is there discussion? The senator from Nicholas County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent to explain the amendment in lieu of having it read.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The senator may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just merely a technical amendment, technical correction to the amendment or to the resolution. I urge its adoption.
Question before the Senate is adoption of the amendment to the resolution. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Declare the amendment adopted. Are there further amendments?
No, sir.
Not. The question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? If not, all those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the resolution adopted. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House. Further unfinished business?
No, sir.
Bills on third reading.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4016 relating to combating waste, fraud, and misuse of public funds through investigations, accountability, and transparency. Third reading of the bill.
Question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for House Bill 4016 comes to the legislature from the auditor. It would create a new article in the code to be designated as Article 9B, addressing open governmental finances. And the new article, if enacted, would have 4 sections in it. It would essentially require the auditor to have available a searchable financial transparency website and to have it available no later than July 1st. Section 1 of the new article contains legislative findings and the direction that the searchable financial transparency website be established. Section 2 are definitions, definitions of such terms as funding, action or expenditure, funding source, governmental agency, receipts, searchable financial transparency website. Section 3 actually creates and directs the auditor to create the website, and Section 4 addresses the contents of the searchable website, and it requires, among other things, content for the given fiscal year and the 3 immediately preceding fiscal years, including the names and addresses, recipients of governmental expenditures or funding, the amount of funds, the governmental agency making a given funding, action, or expenditure, the funding source, the budget, program, or activity related to the funding, and additional information as to funding or expenditures the auditor deems valuable for the public. Saw a demonstration of this earlier this year, and I don't know if it's fully online now, but I think from what we heard from the auditor, it was expected to be. Council's nodding. It apparently is live now and available for people to examine and look at. I think it's a good idea. It's going to provide a brighter window into the operations and actions of the state government. And ultimately, if they're included later, political subdivisions, municipal and county governments. Mr. President, be happy to try to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge the bill's passage.
Is there further discussion? Further discussion? No. Excuse me. If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, there being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action and send it to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4035, creating a legislative coalition to study and report to the legislature on palliative care. Third reading of the bill.
The question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for House Bill 4035 would create a new article in the code, and it would go as Article 54 within Chapter 16. And the article's heading would be State Advisory Coalition on Palliative Care. The new article would have a total of 7 sections, creating the State Advisory Coalition on Quality of Life to improve the quality and delivery of patient-centered and family-focused care in West Virginia. The new article would define terms and provide that the administration of the functions of the coalition are the responsibility of the staff assigned to the Joint Committee on Health. The bill would specify the types of individuals whom the President and Speaker are to appoint to the coalition, and the co-chairs of the Joint Committee of Health, Joint Committee on Health, are to serve as non-voting ex officio members of the coalition. Membership is to be distributed among the congressional districts in the state. Powers and duties of the commission are specified in the bill. The coalition is required to meet at least quarterly and report its findings to the Joint Committee on Health by December 31, 2018, and annually afterward. There's a sunset. The coalition would terminate as of December 31, 2021, unless enactment of the legislature continued its existence. Be happy to try to answer questions, Mr. President. Otherwise, I urge passage of the bill.
Is there further discussion? Not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine, ascertain the results. On this question there being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk has a title amendment.
Committee on Health and Human Resources move to amend the title of the bill.
The question before the Senate is adoption of the title amendment. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the title amendment adopted. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4042, redefining school zone to facilitate placement of school zone signs. Third reading of the bill.
Question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for House Bill 4042 amends a single section of the state code, and it is Chapter 17C, Article 6, Section 1. Which is the section of our law that addresses limitations, restrictions on speed limitations. The amendments to this section go in subsection B1, and the amendment addresses school property that's not abutting a street or highway, but is accessed through a right-of-way granted for entrance to school property. And allows a school zone established by an engineering study conducted by the Department of Highways to be school property, and it then would address the speed limits and signs within that new school zone. Be happy to try to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge passage of the bill.
Is there further discussion? Further discussion? If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than a majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed House Bill 4183, relating generally to standardized testing requirements for non-public schools. Third reading of the bill.
Question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Upshur County.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 4183 makes the following changes to testing requirements required for non-public schools operating under Article 28 of Chapter 18. It removes the requirement that every child enrolled between the ages of 7 and 16 be administered one of several named tests in certain named subjects, and instead simply requires a nationally normed standardized achievement test be administered at the same grade levels and in the same subject areas as required in the public schools. It requires that the test be published or normed within the last 10 years. Requires that the student participation rate on the test be the same as that required in the public schools. For any non-public school that exclusively teaches special education students or children with learning disabilities, it removes their language requirement. Removes language exempting school from subsection setting forth what happens when the school's composite test results fall below the 40th percentile. Removes requirement to assess every child between the ages of 7 and 16, and instead requires students be assessed at the same grade levels and in the same subject areas as required in the public schools. Allows a non-public school to administer standardized achievement tests in additional subject areas or at additional grade levels, and conforms accountability provisions for schools falling below the 40th percentile to the above changes, and I urge passage.
Is there further discussion? If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, there being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those present and voting, having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk has a title amendment.
Committee on Education move to amend the title of the bill.
Question before the Senate is adoption of the title amendment. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the title amendment adopted. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4275 relating to the law enforcement authority of the Director and officers of the Division of Protective Services. Third reading of the bill.
Question before the Senate is shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The Senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for House Bill 4275 would amend and reenact 2 sections of the state code, and they are sections 2 and 3 of Chapter 15, Article 2D. The purpose of the bill is to clarify the law enforcement authority of the Director and officers of the Division of Protective Services. The bill exempts certain safety and security information from disclosure under the West Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and that information are the assessments and other records of the Secretary of Military Affairs and Public Safety to compromise the safety and security at any proposed or existing state facility. In other words, one of the duties under current law they have is to do assessments of things that need to be done to improve safety and security of our facilities, and so their assessments and evaluations are exempt from FOIA. And the bill clarifies that agencies which install electronic security systems designed to connect with the division's command center must be approved prior to installation. Be happy to try to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge passage of the bill.
Further discussion? If not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those present and voting, having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4400 relating to the West Virginia Physicians Mutual Insurance Company. Third reading of the bill.
Question for the Senate is shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The Senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for House Bill 4400 addresses the Physicians Mutual Insurance Company that was created by this legislature about 15 years ago now, at the maybe even longer ago than that, at the time of a medical malpractice crisis in West Virginia, when insurers that had been in the private market were refusing to write or renew physicians' medical malpractice liability insurance. So the legislature acted by creating the statutory framework for a physicians' mutual insurance company, and the legislature, by appropriation, provided money to it, capitalized it in the form of a loan. So it was created in the early 2000s, formed originally by the Board of Risk and Insurance Management. It has since been authorized to operate independently as a private mutual insurance company, and that's the way it operates now, really. The purpose of the bill is to remove some outdated language in the code regarding certain actions that were to be taken between 2003 and 2004, and to amend and reenact the portions of the article which allow the Physicians Mutual Insurance Company to insure physicians who are licensed to practice in other states. So when it was created, it was West Virginia only. But as many of the members of this body know, we have physicians that practice oftentimes in multiple states, particularly around the borders of our state. And so there's some interest by the mutual in being able to write coverages in other states. The bill also alters the number of directors on the Physicians Mutual Insurance Company's board who must be physicians licensed in this state from 5 to 6, and it allows 2 additional directors to be chosen by election under the Physicians Mutual Insurance Company bylaws. The provisions removed in this bill are no longer relevant to the operation of the Physicians Mutual Insurance Company. This bill reflects the Physicians Mutual Insurance Company's evolution from a state-funded insurance company for physicians in the state to what it is now, really, a self-sustaining private insurance company. So, Mr. President, I'd be happy to try to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge passage of the bill.
Further discussion? Not, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, there being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those present and voting, having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4546 relating to where an application for a marriage license may be made. Third reading of the bill.
Question for the Senate is, shall the bill pass? Is there discussion? The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for House Bill 4546 amends one single section of the state code. It is Chapter 48, Article 2, Section 102. Article 2 of Chapter 48 relates to marriages. Under current law, if one or both applicants for a marriage license are residents of the state of West Virginia, then they may apply for the marriage license in the county in which one of the applicants usually resides. If both applicants are non-residents of the state, then they may apply for a marriage license in any county in the state. And so, by way of caveat or background, we're talking about marriages to be performed in the state of West Virginia. Obviously, if a couple's going to get married in Myrtle Beach or some other place, they have to get their marriage license in the state where the wedding's going to occur. The proposed law would allow any applicant, regardless of the state or county of residency, to apply for a marriage license in any county of the state. So whether they're residents or non-residents, if the marriage is going to occur in West Virginia, then the couple can get their, or either of them can get the marriage license in any county, any of our 55 counties. That's done in the office of the county clerk. Be happy to try to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge passage of the bill.
Is there further discussion? The senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
Senator from Morgan yield? Senator does yield.
Sir.
Senator, just a quick question. I know this is in the Article 2 dealing with marriages and the subsections dealing with marriage applications, but the bill removes reference to application for marriage licenses and just refers to it as applying for a license. Do you think there's any ambiguity there that this could open up for another type of license since the subsection no longer refers to a marriage license?
You know what? I don't think so, but it is, in fairness, a question that never occurred to me when I read it, because it is in the section. It is in the article of the code which deals with marriages and sandwiched among other sections which address marriages. But right. If the senator's concerned that somebody could, I guess you can get a hunting and fishing license.
And I'm not even sure what other licenses necessarily could be applicable, but I just noticed in the current code, it's clear that it's referring to a marriage license, and we're striking that language and now just talking about licenses. I know it is in the marriage section, but it's just a question, I guess, more than a concern.
The council has advised me that we believe that the only license addressed or referenced in that article, whole article, is a marriage license.
So you feel comfortable that there's no ambiguity there, and this provision would be limited specifically to marriage licenses?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Further discussion? Not. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? So the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the results. On this question, there being 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent and not voting, more than the majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the action and send it to the House. Further bills on third reading?
No, sir.
Bills on second reading.
Senate Bill 633, expiring funds from Insurance Commission Fund and appropriating funds to Consolidated Medical Services Fund. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced. Excuse me, bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Senate Bill 634, adding, increasing, and decreasing appropriations from general revenue to DHHR.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Not. The bill be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 2028, relating to the venue for suits and other actions against the state. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4214, increasing penalties for unlawfully possessing or digging ginseng. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
Yes, sir. The Committee on the Judiciary moved to amend the bill.
Senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent for leave to explain the amendment, the committee amendment, in lieu of having it read.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The senator may proceed.
The committee amendment, Mr. President, changed slightly the penalty for criminal violation of the statute for the illegal digging of ginseng, and we, on line 8, after the words $500, added additional, not more nor more than $1,000, and for each subsequent offense shall be fined not less than $1,000. The idea behind the committee amendment was to make the penalties between the various offenses comparable and consistent. Be happy to try to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge adoption of the committee's amendment.
Further discussion? Not. The question before the Senate is adoption of the Judiciary Committee amendment. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the committee amendment adopted. Are there further amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4276, allowing magistrates to grant work release privileges. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4336, updating the schedule of controlled substances. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed House Bill 4376, expiring funds to the balance of the Department of Health and Human Resources. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed House Bill 4379, supplementing, amending, decreasing, and increasing items of the existing appropriations to the Department of Transportation. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4401, relating to the registration of business. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
Yes, sir. The Committee on Finance moved to amend the bill by striking out everything after the enacting clause.
The senior senator from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 4401.
The senator from the 15th requests unanimous consent to explain the amendment in lieu of having it read. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The senator may proceed.
In the Senate bill mode. Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 4401 relates to the collection of certain fees by the Division of Labor and the division's authority to use those fees. The House bill eliminated the division's authority to reallocate funds from special revenue accounts to meet its ongoing funding needs, which would have required additional appropriations from the legislature's general revenue budget. The Senate Finance Committee amendment retains the authority of the Commission of Labor to move monies around, but sunsets that authority at the end of fiscal year 2019. Mr. President, I urge adoption.
Further discussion, the senator from Boone County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chairman yield.
Senator yield. Senator does yield.
With regard to our budget bill, are we funding the Division of Labor out of general revenue?
Bear with me for 1 second, because she's telling me there should be no general revenue and that
There's a concern that I have that the Division of Labor be able to be funded to some extent either through this bill or through general revenue.
I'm pretty certain that there's $1.5 million that we took to move over there. There was a bill moving through. We did that up in finance. That's why I'm. Yes, we eliminated the fee, and then what we went back in and supplemented it with the 1.5 million. Now, anything additional, that it was like what they had before to start with.
Okay. So they will, I mean, so again, the idea is to fund them to some extent. There was a concern that if this bill passed, they wouldn't have any special revenue money, and that we did not include anything in general revenue.
And to put it in layman's terms for me, no, we're not starving them out. And that's really the question, isn't it?
Yes, so that they could, again, enforce the Jobs Act.
No, we've taken care of that. And here comes Michael now. Let's get a verification on this.
Thank you.
Because when she was telling me that, I was like, there's $1.5 million out there that this is how this worked out. He wasn't in here. Restate the question so that he's got it.
The question is, I think there was about $1.5 million in the general revenue budget for the Division of Labor so that they can operate. And the question was that I have is, did we remove that from the budget in order to give the 5 and 5 pay raise?
It's included in the strike and insert.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Further discussion? Not. Question for the Senate is adoption of the amendment as offered by the senior senator from the 15th. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare committee amendment adopted. Further amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4453 relating to judicial review of contested cases under the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources Board of Review. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed House Bill 4529 relating to oath by municipal official certifying list of delinquent business and occupation taxes. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4571 relating to the final day of filing announcements of candidates for a political office. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 4618 relating to the authority of the Division of Protective Services. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
Yes, sir. The Committee on the Judiciary moved to amend the bill.
The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent for leave to explain the committee amendment in lieu of having it read.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The senator may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee amendment is a strike and insert amendment for the whole bill, amending and reenacting sections 1 through 6. That includes 1, 1A, 3, 4, 5, not section 6, excuse me. of Chapter 61, Article 6, relating to crimes against the peace, and more specifically, the suppression of riots and unlawful assemblages. And so the bill does a couple things, all within that single object. It corrects all the references in those sections from the Department of Public Safety to the West Virginia State Police. The West Virginia State Police was previously named the Department of Public Safety, and in these sections of the code, that old name still exists. So those are changed. It adds the Division of Protective Services to those sections of the code so that they have concurrent or coterminal authority with the state police to take action to suppress riots and unlawful assemblages. And it eliminates some antiquated language in Section 5, which makes make any person who is a participant in an unlawful assemblage guilty of any injury, wounding, or death that occurs by anyone during the riot or unlawful assemblage. Be happy to try to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge passage of the bill. Otherwise, I urge adoption of the committee amendment.
Is there further discussion? If not, question for the Senate is adoption of the Judiciary Committee amendment. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the committee amendment adopted. Are there further amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced.
Engrossed House Bill 4627, relating to providing a limitation on the eminent domain authority of a municipal park board. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
Yes, sir. The Committee on the Judiciary moved to amend the bill.
The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent for leave to explain the committee amendment in lieu of having it read.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The senator may proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. The committee amendment is a strike and insert amendment. Strikes out everything after the enacting clause and changes the amendment to the single section of the bill, which is in Chapter 8, Article 21, Section 8. And this relates to the purchase or condemnation of property by a board of a Parks and Recreation Commission. And so the language as amended by the Committee on the Judiciary now says that before a parks, well, I'll just read it. Any acquisition by the board made by the exercise of the power of eminent domain must be approved by a majority vote of the governing body of that municipality. Approval by the governing body must be granted as to each specific parcel or tract of land to be acquired by power of eminent domain. So the bill, the purpose of the bill is to make sure city councils vote, the governing body, usually city council, vote to approve a condemnation before a municipal parks and rec board is going to take somebody's property by eminent domain. And it says that the committee amendment makes it clear that they have to approve each parcel or tract of property that's going to be taken by eminent domain before that can occur. Be happy to try and answer questions, Mr. President. Otherwise, I urge adoption of the committee amendment.
Further discussion? Further discussion. Not the question for the Senate is adoption of the Judiciary Committee amendment. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Declare the committee amendment adopted. Are there further amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
Bill be advanced. Further bills on second reading?
No, sir.
Bills on first reading. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request unanimous consent that all bills on first reading be considered as having been read and advance to second reading.
Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Introduction of guest. Remarks by members of the Senate. Miscellaneous business. The senator from Ohio County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Subject to announcements, move the Senate stay in recess till 5 p.m.
Are there announcements? The chair has an announcement. With regard to Conference Committee of 4186, the chair removes the senator from Monongalia County and appoints the senator from Cabell County. Further announcements? The junior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Committee on Health will meet today in room 451M at 1:45.
Further announcements? Further announcements. The senator from Morgan County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee on the Judiciary will meet today at 3:00 p.m. in 208 West Wing.
Further announcements. The senator from Jefferson County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Conference Committee on House Bill 4186 will meet immediately after the session tomorrow in the President's Conference Room.
Further announcements. The senator from Upshur County.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a heads up, the Committee on Education, your Committee on Education will be meeting after this evening's floor session, and the time will be announced.
Further announcements? Further announcements. Not. Question for the Senate is, shall the Senate stand in recess until 5 p.m. this evening? All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the Senate in recess until 5 p.m. this evening.
Automated external defibrillators as required by the director. And under the Chapter 22A, Underground Mines, the bill provides that the operator's MSHA approved plan will be the only plan that shall be required by the director for the following terms: ventilation plans, belt air plans, seal plans, roof control, emergency shelter plans under the transportation provisions, emergency response plans, tracking and communications plans, and self-contained self-rescuer storage plans. The bill provides a minimum of 3 one-hour self-contained self-rescuers must be available for everyone reasonably likely to be on the working section at any given time. The bill only affects the administrative planning process and does not affect safety laws or their enforcement. Only one MSHA approved plan is to be accepted by the director. Both federal and state agencies remain responsible for enforcement. And finally, the use of diesel-powered equipment. The bill allows for a diesel-powered generator to be used underground where, first, it is properly vented, second, there is a person within sight and sound of the generator, and third, all other safety rules relating to diesel-powered generators are followed. And finally, the bill makes certain technical and grammatical changes. That's a summary of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I urge its passage.
Are there other members desiring to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, the question before the House is the passage of the bill. Those in favor of passage will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Gentleman from the 10th, Delegate Kelly, your vote is not registered. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, 93 ayes, 4 nays, 3 members absent, not voting. Majority of members present having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk, please report the title.
Senate Bill 626.
Are there amendments to the title? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. Clerk, please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Request concurrence therein.
Senate Bill 631 relating generally to one-call system.
Request for the House is the passage of the bill. Gentleman from 33rd, Delegate Hanshaw, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 631 amends Chapter 24A of our code, which under existing law relates to underground facilities damage prevention. The purpose of the bill is to conform West Virginia statutory law to applicable federal pipeline safety regulations. So under our existing one-call system, we'll see some expansion now if this bill moves on to passage. So our underground prevention system will be expanded to include privately owned utilities as well as PSC regulated utilities, and that includes state and municipally owned utilities, which will be required to register with the one-call system that makes information available to those who are about to engage in excavation or building construction on your property. The one-call system is what some of us know as misutility would be an example. So the bill before us creates provisions for civil penalties for violation of the act, which range from a warning all the way up to fines for subsequent violations of the act. The purpose of the bill is to promote public safety and make available information to those who are about to engage in excavation construction. Mr. Speaker, I urge passage of the bill.
Are the other members desiring to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, the question for the House is the passage of the bill. Those in favor of passage will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, 97 ayes, 0 nays, 3 members absent, not voting. Majority of members present having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk, please report the title.
Senate Bill 631.
Are there amendments to the title? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. Clerk, please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. John with the 58.
Mr. Speaker, subject to announcements, I move the House stand in recess until 3 p.m.
Are there announcements?
Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from 58.
Mr. Speaker, the Rules Committee will meet at 2:45 p.m. behind the chamber. Rules at 2:45.
John from 64, delegate householder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Committee on Finance will meet today at 2:15, and the agenda will be posted today at 2:15.
John from 13, delegate Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The West Virginia AFL-CIO will hold a labor caucus immediately following this session in House Government Organization, and lunch will be provided.
Further announcements. Lady from the 18th, delegate Sabonia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to return to the second order of business.
Without objection, lady may proceed.
In the North Gallery, we have our mayor of Barboursville, the best little village in West Virginia, Chris Tatum. Would you please make him welcome? And also, Mr. Speaker, if I could ask for permission to put in the appendix of the journal the gentleman from the 10th on Senate Bill 584, the gentleman from the 36th, and the gentlelady from the 39th on Senate Bill 590. 49th, be put in the appendix of the journal.
Without objection, remarks will be placed in the appendix of the journal. The gentleman for 32nd, delegate passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to announce that your conferee committee on House Bill 4186, consisting of Delegate Overington, Delegate Lovejoy, and myself, will meet in the Senate President's Conference Room today at 2 p.m.
John for 22nd, delegate Eldridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would ask unanimous consent for my friend from the 36 comments being placed in the appendix of the journal on Senate Bill 590. And also, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask for my words from the 42nd be placed in the appendix of the journal as well from the White Sulphur Springs.
Without objection, remarks will be placed in the appendix of the journal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further announcements. If not, the question for the House is the motion by the gentleman 58 that the House stand in recess until 3 p.m.
Hey,
all in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have. The ayes do have it. Declare the House in recess until 3 p.m.